So let's talk a little bit
Right.
about habitual thinking, how that can affect people, and maybe what they can do to start breaking the cycle and start to change that.
Okay. Well, one of the simplest ways to describe habitual thinking is that you wake up in the morning time and you go through your morning routine. You wake up, you brush your teeth, make a cup of coffee, you shower, you get some breakfast, you get dressed, and you take off on your way to work. You do the same thing every day. It's the same process every day. The process. It goes on, and when you drive into work, you're taking the same route to work every day. You're taking the same turn lanes, you're making the same left and right turns to get there because you're following this exact same process. And what that is that's habitual thinking. By the time you get to work, you probably don't even remember having driven the route because it's such an ingrained thing that goes on. That's habitual thinking.
And let me
And
interrupt for one quick second, because I don't think you're going to say this because we've talked before about this, but one of the worst things that happens is when it's a Saturday and you're following that same habit, forgetting it's a Saturday, and you get to work, or you leave the house and you go the same direction that you always go when you go to work, even though you wanted to go in the opposite direction because you weren't thinking. I mean, how many times that happened?
right,
I know it's
yeah,
happened to me a lot. How many
it
times it happened
happens
to
to me
you,
too.
Joe? Where
Yeah, absolutely,
where you're just in the
absolutely.
habit of leaving the house at that time, and your brain, you're not really thinking about where you got to go. So all of a sudden, you get at the end of the driveway, you go the normal way, and all of a sudden, you're three turns in, and you're going, "Dang it, I wanted to go the other way." So,
Right.
and that's one of the dangers of habitual thinking is not necessarily continuing to do the same things, but continuing to do the same things when they don't apply anymore, right?
That's right. That's right. And one of the things about that makes habitual thinking so bad for us is when we tend to think these habitual negative thoughts over and over again. A lot of people, let's say someone has self-esteem issues, for example. Well, their self-esteem is so low because they are in this process of thinking so lowly about themselves that they can't see anything positive anymore. It's the same way. It's just like making that right hand turn that you go to work every day, and they're not even thinking about it. They wake up, something an opportunity maybe presents itself, and they turn it down, they turn it away because they don't think they're worthy of it, because somewhere they've had this belief ingrained in them that they can't attain something, they're not good enough to attain something, or you know that maybe they just don't have the ability to do it. They're not powerful enough to create it skill-wise or something along those lines. And when that really holds people up, those are and they allow themselves to keep thinking this over and over, and then pretty soon they believe it. And then whenever you start to believe it, then you're not moving forward any. You're not processing information within yourself in a way that benefits you. All of a sudden you have become this thought. You have become what you keep thinking about. You have become your own worst enemy in this particular situation with being stuck at where you're at because of a habitual thought process.
Right. And the thing of it is our brains are here to keep us safe. I mean, I'm sure you talk about this. I'll dig into it just quick. I'm sure you talk about this in your book that we're going to tell people about later on, or in other things you coach with clients. Fact of the matter is our brains are here to keep us safe. And our biology and our evolution has made it that way. And safety means consistency. So even people who are depressed, when you ask them if they would rather be undepressed, they will give you a verbal answer of yes. But if you do a brain scan, it's actually the scan of somebody who's lying, even though they're not. And even
Right.
though the world says that that's really kind of messed up, so to speak, it's like, why wouldn't you want to be happy? It's like, well, it's not that they don't. And it's not that people who have bad habits don't want to break their bad habits. It's their brain is preventing them because their brain wants to be safe. Their brain wants to stay in that status quo because change is scary. I mean, just like
Right.
you don't want to go to a different part on the when we were evolving, we didn't want to go to a different part on the savannah or wherever we were living because we didn't know what was there and it could be dangerous,
That's
even
right.
if there was no food where you were at, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, that's the thing, and that's the comfort zone. What you're referring to is what I like to talk about with the comfort zone. And yeah, you're right. People like to stay inside their comfort zone, even when their comfort zone is not particularly comfortable. And they stay in there because they know the tolerances. There's tolerances. They know what they can take. They know how much. They know what to expect. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm going to be dealing with pain within my comfort zone here, but I know I can tolerate this much pain because I've been doing it over and over. And well, it's just much more preferable than to all the pain that I could experience if I stepped outside of my comfort zone. And then that's where the habitual thought process is. That was the habit thought. All the pain that I could experience. But you could also experience all of this great joy. You could also experience all of this great freedom. You could also experience a million other things and wonders that you never thought were even possible, because your habitual thought process has kept you in this thing of, I'm going to feel pain.
Yeah, exactly. So real quick, is there one, in like 30 seconds or less, is there one tip you could give people to, even before they start working with you, to start to break that cycle of habitual thinking?
Yeah, ask yourself one question. Is this action, or is this thought going to move me closer to where I want to be, or is it going to keep me stuck in the same place where I'm at? And then make your choice based off of that. If you want to move forward, make a choice that's going to move you forward. If you want to stay stuck where you're at, then just keep doing what you've been doing.
Excellent. So for those people who are stuck in this cycle of habitual thinking, the next time, I think what you're saying, Joe, is the next time they have a thought and they have to make a decision, the simplest thing to start doing is to say, is this decision going to move me? Forget about what I think I should do. Is making this decision in this way going to move me forward or not towards where I want to be, right?
Right, absolutely. It's choice. It all boils down to choice. You get to choose how that next action is going to take you. You get to choose it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it almost seems like, when people are in the cycle of habitual thinking, it almost seems like they can make the decision, and then once they've made it, basically it's like saying, okay, if I follow through with this decision I make, will that take me forward or back? So in other words, it's kind of like, if you're not realizing your habitual thinking, you can at least say, okay, I've made this decision. Now that I've made it, will it move me closer or further away from my goal? If it moves me closer, I do it. If I can't see it moving me closer to my goal, or I can't rationalize it moving me closer to my goal, then that sounds like a clue that I might be in the cycle of habitual thinking, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let you know that it's time to think something different.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now. You'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.